Welcome to this explainer. I'm your professor, and today we are really going to elevate your strategic thinking to that graduate executive level. Whether you're an MBA student, a consultant, or a CSCA candidate gearing up for the CSCA examination, we are not here today just to memorize a bunch of textbook definitions. No way. We're here to learn how to actually think like a chief strategist, and that means figuring out exactly where and how your organization is going to compete.
Okay, let's dive right into this by challenging a super common yet totally pervasive corporate assumption. I want you to think about your own industry for a second. Do companies really compete against every single firm in their industry, or do they only fight the organizations that are serving similar customers with similar products and similar business models?
Well, the resounding answer is no. And honestly, this is a fatal trap that catches so many candidates off guard. The truth is, industries are rarely homogeneous. They're just not all the same. As strategists, you have got to identify where competition truly takes place. Just analyzing your industry from a 30,000-foot macro level, that's completely insufficient. You have to pinpoint the exact arena where your firm is actually fighting its battles.
So, to answer how we truly compete, we need to master industry segmentation. Here's our roadmap for today's masterclass. We'll start with the fundamental question, move into the 4 segmentation bases, tackle the ultimate exam trap, do some rapid-fire mini cases, and wrap up with an executive review.
Let's jump straight into Section 1, the fundamental question of identifying your true competitors.
Consider these 5 famous automakers. They're all technically in the same overarching industry, right? But they absolutely do not compete directly with one another. I mean, Ferrari is definitely not losing sleep over Hyundai's new budget pricing strategy. Toyota completely dominates the mass market, Rolls-Royce owns ultra-luxury, and Tesla is out there innovating in electric tech. They are satisfying entirely different customer needs. So, as an executive, the question you have to ask is, which of these specific segments offers the absolute best growth opportunities for our unique capabilities?
Moving right along to Section 2. We're going to look at the 4 segmentation bases, which is basically how we divide up the strategic battlefield.
You've got to be able to identify which of these 4 strategic pillars is actually driving the competition in a given scenario. A great little memory trick for the CSCAA exam is PCGV, Product, Customer, Geographic, and Value Chain. Keep those in your back pocket. They are your essential tools for carving up the market.
Let's break down product segmentation first. This is all about segmenting based on things like quality, price, or technology. Think of this as our first mini case. Imagine a company making low-cost family minivans going up against a high-performance luxury sports car manufacturer. They require completely, and I mean completely different pricing strategies and R&D investments. A strategy that totally wins for a budget smartphone is absolutely going to tank if you try to apply it to a premium one.
Now, notice how customer segmentation dramatically shifts your focus. Here, you have to explicitly distinguish between your everyday retail consumers and massive multinational corporate buyers. This is our second mini case. Selling tech directly to a consumer, like Apple or Samsung doing B2C, requires a radically different marketing and R&D approach than selling complex, enterprise-level cloud architecture like Microsoft Azure in the B2B space. You always have to ask yourself, how do these entirely different business models actually create value for their specific buyers? Next up is geographic segmentation. For our third mini case, think about a massive global fast food chain. They literally have to completely redesign their menus for the US, for India, and for the Middle East just to respect local tastes, climates, and cultural norms. You simply cannot take a one-size-fits-all strategy and paste it across the entire globe. It just doesn't work. And finally, we have value chain segmentation. Pay close attention here because the CSCA examination heavily tests this specific concept. Mini case number 4 looks at retail and furniture. Amazon relies on this massive, incredibly complex online e-commerce logistics chain, whereas traditional retailers are still depending on physical foot traffic. Or look at IKEA. They emphasize mass production and self-service. Compare that to a luxury furniture brand that's all about high-touch, fully customized service. They might be selling the exact same underlying products, like a sofa, but they have drastically different cost structures and business models.
All right, let's head into Section 3, Industry versus Market Segmentation, which I like to call the ultimate exam trap.
This right here is a non-negotiable consultant's rule of thumb. Industry segmentation is all about mapping out your competitors to guide your overall corporate strategy. Market segmentation, on the other hand, is entirely about mapping your customers to guide your marketing strategy. Basically, industry examines the structural side of things. Market examines consumer demand and needs.
So never, ever confuse these two distinct questions. Who are our customers
versus who are our competitors. Honestly, poor segmentation inevitably leads to targeting the absolute wrong buyers, wasting your investments, and entirely misjudging your strategic position. As executives, you have to be asking, how should our organization allocate its precious resources across these clearly defined segments? Now for Section 4. Let's put this theory to the test with some rapid-fire mini cases. Let's see how a strategist actually applies this in real time.
For our fifth and final mini case, let's look at the aviation industry. We've got ultra-low-cost carriers like Ryanair or Southwest Airlines. Then we have those premium long-haul carriers like Emirates or Qatar Airways. And finally, exclusive private jets. Do these drastically different business models actually belong to the same industry?
The answer is unequivocally yes. They are absolutely all in the airline industry. But the fatal trap is assuming they compete directly with each other. They don't. They serve entirely different customers, and they utilize completely different business models.
A master strategist looks at that and immediately recognizes that the targeted customer segments and the underlying value chains are what isolate these airlines into distinct competitive arenas. It's a classic matchup of premium versus low-cost business models. Ryanair is hyper-focused on extreme cost control and standardization, while Emirates is completely focused on premium luxury and a high-touch service experience.
Finally, we've made it to Section 5. Let's do our executive review and wrap up your final CSCFK preparations.
Let's really cement your understanding with these top takeaways. First, you've got to stop assuming all firms in an industry compete directly. Second, remember that true competition only occurs within specific segments. Third, never confuse your industry with your market. Fourth, you map your rivals to understand the industry and you map your buyers to understand the market. And fifth, never treat industries as just one big homogeneous block.
Now, these right here are the 5 concepts that are most likely to appear on your actual exam. You need to know how to identify segmentation bases, determine true competitors, distinguish B2B versus B2C, analyze value chain models, and assess the very real risks of poor segmentation. So here are 5 rapid-fire review questions I want you to answer mentally right now. 1. What does PCGV stand for? 2. Which segmentation deals with climate? 3. Who maps the market, marketing or strategy? 4. Is IKEA a product or value chain innovator? And 5, do premium and low-cost models actually share a competitive arena?
If you take away one framework today, make it the consultant's golden rule. Sequentially ask yourself these 5 questions whenever you face an industry scenario. Who are the actual customers? What specific products are offered? Which competitors are serving those exact similar needs? What underlying business model is being used? And ultimately, which segment is creating the absolute greatest value?
Let this central thesis really cement your executive thinking. Companies simply do not compete against every single firm in an industry. You only fight the battles against firms serving your exact customers with similar products through similar business models. That right there is where competitive advantage is won.
Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer today. As you go on to prepare for your exam and return to your own organizations, I really want to leave you with 3 critical, totally provocative executive reflection questions to ponder. First, who are your firm's real competitors? Second, which specific customer needs are truly being satisfied? And finally, how does your specific business model create completely unique value in your chosen segment? Think about it. Good luck and strategize well.